The Christmas season is known to be a flurry of busyness, and you, as a homeschool mom, you know that quite well. And is it just me, or does it feel like it's so sudden this year? I'm like, wait, what? We are in the Christmas season, and I think it's because Thanksgiving was a little bit later than it normally is. I know that one year it'll be late, and then it'll jump to being early or feeling early, but that's kind of where we're at. Suddenly here, we are in December, and it is the Christmas holiday season. You don't need anyone to add to the noise of the busyness of the holiday season of Christmas and everything you need to do. And you don't need anybody to add to do your to do list. Today, this episode is going to be me taking some of that burden off of you. That's the goal.
Welcome to Little by Little Homeschool Podcast, where you'll learn tips and strategies that will empower you to home educate your children. I'm Leigh Nguyen, a homeschool mom of over 12 years, which includes 2 graduates. When I started homeschooling, I was pretty much on my own and was desperate for encouragement and help. My mission is to be a source of encouragement and help to you. Whether you are just beginning your homeschool journey or you're deep into the homeschool lifestyle, Little by Little Homeschool wants to help you stay the course, because all the time you are investing into your children is completely worth it. If you're ready to take your homeschool to new levels, keep listening.
This time of the year, homeschool moms have so many questions. And typically, those questions all center around the same couple of questions. And I have done quite a few podcast episodes all about homeschooling and Christmas in the past 2 years. There are a lot of episodes. Specifically, you're going to want to go back and listen to episodes between 103 and 108, and then jump to episodes 205 to 213. I'm going to put a few of those episodes in the show notes for you to binge listen as we jump straight here into the holiday season after Thanksgiving is done. Then you can find those other episodes by following in the show notes and just kind of continuing on down that rabbit trail of all the Christmas stuff. There is also a podcast catalog in the Facebook group. If you're not part of the private Facebook group, you need to join. So at least you can get access to that. And if you are in the group, go under the guides section and there's a podcast catalog. On a desktop, even if you use Control F, it will then pop up a search and you can go ahead and put something in. So say for Christmas, you can go ahead and put in Christmas. I think some of the episodes are entitled Christmas, some say holiday because I was doing it around Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then incorporating New Year's as well. So I want to encourage you to use that resource that is put together, compiled every week. My wonderful assistant adds to it so you can get all of the latest ones and not have to search through your podcast app. For me and my family, with homeschooling and Christmas, there were many, 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 many years of homeschooling with getting the subjects and trying to meet my goals and meet all of the state requirements. But there was then Christmas concerts. There were special activities, maybe in our community with the church or with friends and family. And there was a lot of travel. We have always lived at a distance of at least one of our families. Currently, we live at a distance of both of our families, so it does require a bit of traveling if we want to spend holidays with our extended family. Some years, when my kids were younger, I had to force a smile and force peace, or at least to look like I was peaceful to my children while I was trying to accomplish the long list of to-dos, the presents to purchase and to wrap, and then, when they're little, you got to purchase them and hide them and hope they don't find them. And the list was just endless of the things to do, the places to be, the memories we wanted to create, all the things, the Advent, and just going on so many wonderful things. But it was really stressful. And you probably are feeling that right now too. And I hope that you take a moment to sit down and write out on paper. Maybe just print out, if you don't normally use a calendar, print out a calendar. You can find a free calendar online for, say, just December of 2024. And if you're listening to this in the future, next year, it doesn't matter what year it is. Print it out so you have it on paper and write down all of the places that you need to be so you can take a look at it and be realistic about how is that actually all going to happen. Sit down with your husband because you got to come up with a game plan. With my hindsight being 2020, And with having older children now, my youngest he's just about 17. And I do have one child that is not living at home. So there is the coordinating, this is what we're doing, this is we're traveling, this is when you're expected to be here. And the other one, well, he is now doing snow plowing over the winter. So it's kind of like, ooh, who knows if he's going to be available. And I know everybody wishes for a white Christmas, but don't tell anybody this who lives near me. But I'm kind of hoping not for snow on that day. Maybe it's white because I look out because it snowed a couple days beforehand so that he is able to enjoy it. But with my hindsight of 2020 and looking back when my kids were young, most likely the ages that your kids are right now, I'm going to share my stress free approach to homeschooling through this Christmas season. I'm going to share a few useful tips. And before we close out, I'm going to end, we're going to say, like on a big bang. The big bang is going to be my biggest hoorah cheerleader advice for you this Christmas season. My first bit of advice is cut back on the subjects. Not every single subject needs to happen right now. I can guarantee your kids probably would love to do lots of crafts. That means that is art, which maybe you aren't even doing art right now. So replace that art with doing all the Christmas crafts that you're going to count as art. Replace another subject. A lot of times I would say, we're going to replace a lot of things, but we're going to keep on doing our math, especially when my kids were young during those formative years. I didn't want them to I'm not gonna use I'm gonna say get behind, but we've already talked about that. I didn't want them to lose ground. That's probably a better way of saying it. So that when we started back up in January, they're like, "Oh, no, I forgot my 3 multiplication table." Well, it's gonna be hard to forget it if we are consistently doing it over the month of December. Which doesn't mean that you have to do math for a very long time. Maybe it's just 15 minutes every day to just review what they have already learned. Maybe it's them just sitting down. You're not even doing any new lessons. Them just sitting down for 15 minutes, just working out a couple of math problems. You're probably going to do a lot of reading when it comes to all the fun Christmas books and all the options that are out there. So you can replace all those fun Christmas books with maybe what your reading program is. And again, you have to determine where your kids are. In some years, I could cut back a lot more than other years where I didn't want to feel like we were losing ground. But don't be afraid to cut back on the subjects this month. Second thing I happened to mention already is crafts. Make the crafts, make concerts, make the activities, make maybe the Christmas programs, the plays, the choir concerts, and the baking. Make that the homeschool. That, we'll say in air quotes, counts as homeschool. Say they're in a play and they're learning songs, or they're in a choir. Guess what? That's music class for you guys. There is so much that they will learn just from those things. Maybe you're going to concerts. That's also music class. I know that there are often maybe symphonies and there's maybe the concert at the local high school and there's just or community choirs and stuff that you can go to. That counts as homeschool. Enjoy those experiences. Make the crafts. Take them to the activities. Bake the cookies, bake the whatevers, but don't feel guilty that you aren't doing something else. You're saying, "Oh, no, we stopped doing our science, and they're gonna forget what kind of clouds those are or what kind of different plants those different plants are." They're gonna be okay. I promise and assure you. They might not really be interested in botany, and they're going to forget about all those plants you taught them, whether you continue through December or not, because it's just not in their wheelhouse. And you might have a child that loves botany and is going to remember those. And guess what? Maybe you get a Christmas tree, or you look at different wreaths and you talk about the different evergreens that go into it and help them to learn and distinguish that. Get outside. There's still lots of science out there. But make those the crafts, the concerts, the activities, the baking, all that stuff, make that the homeschool. My third bit of advice is to say no. It's okay to say no. There are going to be some seasons. Maybe you have a newborn. Maybe you have a newborn, a toddler, a preschooler, and all younger elementary school children. Or even you just have a baby and a preschooler. It doesn't matter how many kids you are. It's just the season right now that's okay to say no. And I know that can be hard sometimes. People will get offended. But in order to save your sanity and maybe for everybody to be able to get rest, to be able to stay healthy, and to be able to really focus on what this season is about, and that's the birth of Jesus, you might need to say no. Make sure you talk to your husband and come up with how are we going to approach the situation? Just things are too much. I remember trying to get my kids and doing all kinds of things. To be honest, if I had a do over, because I remember being so stressed out. If I had a do-over, I would greatly reduce the amount of activities and the things that my kids were involved in. I know. Uh, that kind of is hard to say, but I'm looking back, I'm like, I kind of put some of that stress onto myself. I should have looked at what is actually really important to do and do those things and say no to the other things. Saying no doesn't mean you're saying no forever. It's just saying no for this year. My fourth bit of advice is that nobody's Christmas is perfect. Don't compare the way that your house is decorated, the traditions that your family has, whether or not you all have matching pajamas, whether or not you participate in a living nativity or go to one, or you have a grand amount of lights outside your home. Don't compare what you have going on to a fairy tale because nobody's Christmas is perfect. We will all focus on the things that are important to us. Those people who have, well, let's just go extreme, the huge light shows in their front yard. That's their thing. That's what they want to do. Those that maybe have a couple candles in the windows, that's what they want to do. If you don't have any, that's okay. Spoiler alert, I don't do anything outside. We kind of tried a little bit when our kids are little, and my husband just really wasn't into it, which is fine because I was like, I need help. I have little kids. I can't be out here hanging things from the roof and watching the kids at the same time. And so it just never quite worked out. We didn't throw any lights over bushes or anything. I did try some years putting lights in the windows, which I love. I love to drive past homes that just have a single candle in the windows. And I did that. But then I would find out, wait a minute, my kids are going to bed. I don't want a light in their room. I want their room to be dark so they go to sleep. So I would turn those lights off. So if you drove past my house during those years, say after my kids went to bed early, they went to bed at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. If you drove past my house after that time, our house didn't look as cozy. It was like polka dotted of lights just in some windows, maybe the living room window and maybe our bedroom windows, but not the kids' rooms because guess what? They needed to go to sleep. It was more important for me. They went to sleep than for our home to look aesthetically pleasing from the outside. But nobody's Christmas is perfect. To a degree, we are all running around a little bit busy, but you get to choose what that busy is. You get to choose whether you're going to add a little bit more peace to your Christmas or not. Don't compare to all of the what is that, Lifetime TV, whatever, all those Christmas shows, all the Christmas movies. Guess what? Another thing. I don't really like them. I used to like them a lot when I was younger, but they're just so predictable. At this point, I'm like, I don't have time for that. So, if you like them, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I don't watch all of them, but I know that some do, and I know that we can get so caught up in that. We can also get caught up in getting onto Pinterest or Instagram, and we're looking at how people are decorating their homes. Guess what? Those people who are maybe taking things to a higher level, they're getting paid to do that. They're making money doing this. And that's their thing. That's okay with them. So don't compare your home. Use them for some great advice and some ideas. There's been things like I have added little twinkling lights in some of my cabinets that are on a timer. And I never would have known that those types of lights or that I enjoyed the look of that if it wasn't for an account on Instagram. And so I added those and I love it. Cost me maybe like $15, $20, and I just rechange the batteries every December and put them back in, and that's it. So use those accounts for inspiration as to what you can reasonably do, but don't compare what you have going on. If you're like, this Christmas is just, there's a lot going on. Maybe there's sickness. Maybe there's just bigger things, financial concerns. And you look at somebody who is portraying, she's got her nails done, her hair done, and everybody's in matching pajamas, and the tree is all great. That's just what she's showing you. She's not showing you what's actually going on the outside. You could probably pull that off too, but you're choosing not to, and that's okay too. Just know that nobody's Christmas is perfect, so don't compare yours to some fairy tale idea. My fifth piece of advice, and it will say it's the biggest, but it's not like it is the biggest. It is the biggest, but I have one more like main thing I want to mention here afterwards. Focus on Jesus, and you won't go wrong this Christmas season. Whether that is reading from your children's Bible every day or every couple of days, doing a simple Advent study, letting your kids draw and color pictures, or maybe watching the Veggie Tales Christmas stuff, whatever it is for your family. When you focus on Jesus, you won't go wrong. If you weren't able to get the amazing Christmas tree that you wanted to, or be able to change out the lights that you wanted to, or get all the gifts that you wanted to. That's okay. Focus on Jesus, and you will not go wrong with your Christmas. I promise and assure you, He will give you the peace that you need. Stay focused on that. Make that the priority. When I said to cut back on the subjects and then replace it with other things, make your time together with focusing on Jesus the priority. During the month of December, for my family and homeschooling, the number one priority is for us to do our Christmas study or Advent study, whatever you want to call it. And if nothing else got done, we did that. And we have so many memories of some great resources that we have used. And there is an episode. So you're going to go back and you're going to listen to from 2022 and 2023. There are some episodes, and there is one specifically about Advent. And if we didn't get anything else, quote unquote, done from all of the homeschool subjects we needed to do, that was okay. We focused on that. So focused on Jesus, and you won't go wrong. My last big hoorah advice here for you is the Christmas season and the stress and how to get it all done and how to get in your homeschooling really comes down to your mindset. We get so worried that our kids are going to be, in air quotes, behind, which there's an episode that I recently did about that. I'll drop that link for that in the show notes too. If you're like, all right, I'm done with Christmas stuff, I want to hear that one, you can listen to that. But we get so worried about missing out on something for a couple of weeks. Well, we're taking it slow. We're not really doing things for a couple of weeks. And then we're going to take off for Christmas for a week or two or three. And you just get so worried. They're going to miss out on something and they're not going to succeed in life. Just know that overall, with homeschool, 1 month, maybe it's even a month and a half, is not going to break you. It's not going to break your kids. But guess what? It can actually add life to your children. It can add life to you. It can add memories. It can add cohesion to your family. It can deepen their faith and their understanding and their love for Jesus. And it's all about your mindset. Instead of running around getting all upset and worked up and angry because you're maybe not eating properly because you didn't get all the lessons done today, plus all the cookie baking and the meals that you were going to bring to people and the food you have to bring to this get together and the party that you're throwing and the band concert and the choir concert and the church play and the Christmas Eve service and all the things. It's all about your mindset. Some of those things, remember, we're going to go back to the third bit of advice I gave you is maybe you need to say no to some of those. But in the end, it all balances out. I promise and assure you of that. Taking these couple of weeks, maybe just taking a step back, adjusting some things, can add life or it can take away life. And you get to decide that. It's what you're going to go into it. And mom's mindset is key because when you're not people, but the people in your family, when your family sense your peace and your joy and the presence that you have now at this Christmas season, they're going to feel that. And that's how they're going to be as well. So I promise that it all balances out in the end. It's okay to take a step back. As I mentioned earlier, in the show notes are different Christmas episodes. I highly recommend you listen to them. After listening to this one now today, listen to those and it'll all kind of tie in together. And you're going to go into this Christmas season like, yes, I've got this. And you're going to have a good plan and you're going to be excited and not stressed out. I'm going to do one more Christmas episode on Thursday because I've already done a ton of Christmas episodes. That's why I'm encouraging you to listen to those. Be one more on Thursday. And then I think I'm just going to switch it up because sometimes, to be honest, I get tired of hearing about Christmas stuff. So maybe you're like that too. And you're like, okay, I want to kind of come up with other stuff. And so I'm going to kind of turn my attention a bit after that to getting us geared up for what would be almost the second half of the homeschool year, but like a reset that we get to do in January. As I mentioned, that guide under the guide section, the podcast catalog under the guide section is in the private Facebook group. We would love to have you in there. Even if you are like, well, I don't really care about the guide, the podcast catalog, which I hope maybe you do, so you can go ahead and search for things. We would love it because guess what? There's so much camaraderie in that. If you have questions or concerns or are feeling a certain way, I can guarantee you in that Facebook group that there are other moms there as well that are feeling like that. And let's encourage and bless one another this Christmas season. There in that private Facebook group. The link for that is in the show notes. Friend, have a wonderful day. May, can I be the first one to say Merry Christmas? Has anybody said that to you yet? If not, Merry Christmas. Let's enjoy this Christmas season.
Thank you for listening, friend. I'd love to connect with you more. You can find social media links in the show notes and share this episode with a friend who could use a boost to her homeschool. See you back here real soon.